Picture this. You are sitting across from a woman you genuinely care about. She is telling you about a decision she is about to make. Something impulsive. Something you know she will regret. Your stomach tightens. You know you should say something, but you hesitate. You are afraid that if you disagree, if you tell her the truth, she will get upset. She will think you are controlling. She will pull away. So, you swallow your words. You nod. You tell her what she wants to hear. And in that moment, you believe you are being a good man. You are being supportive. You are keeping the peace. But something else is happening beneath the surface, something you cannot see. She is quietly noticing that you are afraid to tell her the truth. And without saying a word, without even realizing it, she begins to lose a little bit of respect for you. This is the paradox that confuses so many men. Many women will tell you they want a good man, a man who is caring, patient, always listens, never argues, and puts her first every single time. If you ask enough women what they are looking for, you will hear those qualities mentioned again and again. And on the surface, they sound completely reasonable. But here is where many men make a mistake. They hear those words and assume being a good man means saying yes to everything, tolerating every behavior, avoiding conflict at all costs, and constantly trying to keep a woman happy. Then, they become confused when the very woman who said she wanted a good man slowly loses respect for them. This is not about women hating good men. It is about one of the biggest misunderstandings men have about female psychology. And understanding it could completely change the way you approach relationships. Let us begin with the first reason. Being a good man is not the same as being an agreeable man. Those are two completely different things. One thing many women are genuinely bad at is making the right decisions when emotions completely take over. We can see something that is clearly wrong and still feel tempted to do it anyway. Sometimes our emotions become louder than our judgment. That is exactly why many women do not actually need a man who agrees with every emotional decision they make. They need a man who can calmly look them in the eyes and say, "No, you're not doing that. It is a bad idea." Ironically, that no often earns more respect than 100 yeses. A man who is afraid to disagree because he does not want to upset a woman may believe he is being loving, but many women eventually see something very different. They see a man who is afraid of losing their approval. And the moment a woman believes you are afraid to stand on your own convictions, the way she looks at you quietly begins to change. The reason is actually very simple. Many women are looking for a man who can lead, not because they want to be controlled, but because they know emotions can sometimes cloud good judgment. Every woman has experienced moments where her feelings told her to do one thing while her logical mind was telling her something completely different. That is part of being human. This is why many women naturally admire a man who is not afraid to say, "No, I do not think that is the right decision." Notice I did not say a controlling man. There's a huge difference. A controlling man tells a woman what to do because he wants power over her. A confident man tells her no because he is thinking about the consequences, even if she does not like hearing it in that moment. Consider this practical scenario. You are in a relationship with a woman who is considering quitting her stable job on a whim because she is frustrated with a coworker. She is emotional, venting about how she cannot take it anymore. The agreeable man says, "Do whatever makes you happy. I support you." He is avoiding conflict. He is being nice. The confident man says, "I understand you are frustrated, and I support whatever decision you make, but quitting without a plan is not wise. Let us think about this together." The first response feels good in the moment. The second response feels like someone is actually looking out for her long-term well-being. Which one earns more respect over time? The answer is clear. The philosopher John Stuart Mill, whose work on liberty and individual freedom remains influential, observed that a person who never disagrees is not truly free. He is simply a reflection of whoever he is with. When you agree with everything, you disappear. You become a mirror instead of a man. Women do not fall in love with mirrors. They fall in love with men who have edges, opinions, and convictions. Many men are terrified of saying no because they think disagreement will push a woman away. So instead, they agree with everything she says. They support every decision she makes, even the ones they know are wrong. They avoid difficult conversations because they are afraid she will become upset, angry, or even leave the relationship. Ironically, that is exactly where many men begin losing a woman's respect. Respect grows when a man has convictions. It grows when he can calmly stand on his principles without becoming emotional, defensive, or aggressive. It grows when his decisions are based on wisdom instead of fear. If a woman becomes angry simply because you respectfully disagreed with her, do not immediately assume you have done something wrong. Sometimes you are simply discovering whether she is capable of respecting a man who thinks for himself. Because the truth is, a woman who genuinely respects you does not expect you to agree with everything she says. She expects you to be strong enough to tell her the truth, even when it is difficult to hear. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, often misunderstood on this point, wrote that what does not destroy me makes me stronger. When you stand firm in a disagreement, you are not destroying the relationship. You are testing its strength, and a relationship that cannot survive honest disagreement was never going to survive at all. The second reason many women do not want the kind of good man most men become is because many men misunderstand what women mean when they say, "I want a man who cares about me." They hear that sentence and immediately assume it means they should tolerate every mood swing, fix every emotional problem, and make it their full-time job to keep her happy. That is not what most women mean. Many women do not want a man who loses himself trying to manage their emotions. If a woman is having a bad day, she does not need you to panic with her. If she is angry, she does not need you begging her to calm down. If she is acting out of emotion, she does not need you abandoning your own peace just to make her feel better. What many women genuinely respect is emotional stability. A man who can calmly say, "When you are ready to talk respectfully, we will talk. Until then, take the time you need." That kind of man immediately communicates something powerful. He communicates that he knows himself. He communicates that his peace is not controlled by another person's emotions. Imagine this real-world example. Your partner comes home in a terrible mood. She is snapping at you over small things. The insecure man panics. He starts asking, "What is wrong? Did I do something? Please tell me so I can fix it." He is trying to manage her emotions because he cannot tolerate the tension. The confident man says, "It seems like you're having a rough day. I am here if you want to talk, but I am not going to be your punching bag. Take a moment if you need to." The first response creates more tension. The second response de-escalates the situation while maintaining boundaries. Which one makes her feel more secure? The second one. Because she knows will not crumble under pressure. He is a rock, not a leaf blowing in the wind. The philosopher Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, observed that we should not let our fears stop us from doing what is right. When you fear her reaction more than you respect yourself, you are letting fear make your decisions. That is a dangerous path. Many men think constantly chasing a woman whenever she is upset proves how much they care. Unfortunately, it often communicates something completely different. It tells her that your emotional state depends on hers. Over time, that becomes exhausting. A woman wants to know that the man she is with can remain calm when she is emotional. She wants to know that he will not lose his boundaries just because she is having a difficult moment. Caring for a woman is important, but sacrificing your self-respect every time her emotions change is not love. It is emotional dependence. And many women lose respect for a man the moment they realize he no longer knows where she ends and where he begins. The biggest mistake many men make is believing that caring more will eventually fix everything. So when a woman becomes distant, they call more. When she is upset, they apologize even when they have done nothing wrong. When she pulls away, they chase harder. They convince themselves that if they just love her enough, understand her enough, or remain patient enough, she will eventually become the woman they know she can be. But that is rarely how attraction works. In fact, the more you make her emotions your responsibility, the more likely you are to lose yourself in the process. You stop protecting your peace. You stop protecting your boundaries. You stop protecting your confidence. Before long, your entire life revolves around making sure she is okay. That is not what most women are looking for. A woman feels safest with a man who knows exactly where he stands. A man who can say, "I care about you, but I will not lose myself trying to fix what only you can fix." That is the kind of man many women admire because he is not reacting emotionally. He is responding with maturity. The third reason many women do not want the kind of good man most men become is because many women deeply respect a man who is willing to walk away. I know that sounds uncomfortable, but stay with me. I am not talking about a man who threatens to leave after every argument. I am not talking about someone who uses silence, manipulation, or emotional games to control a woman. That is insecurity, not strength. I am talking about a man who knows his value well enough to leave a relationship that no longer has respect. The moment a woman realizes that you will never leave, no matter how badly she behaves, the entire relationship begins to change. If she disrespects you and you stay, if she keeps crossing your boundaries and you stay, if she keeps making excuses for the same behavior and you stay, she slowly begins believing that there is nothing she can do that will make you walk away. And once that happens, many men unintentionally teach a woman that their standards do not really matter. Many men think staying through everything proves love. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it simply proves that you are afraid of being alone. Women can often tell the difference. A man who knows he can leave does not stay because he has no other options. He stays because he chooses to. That is what makes his commitment valuable. Ironically, that is also the kind of man many women find easiest to respect. He does not beg to be loved. He does not negotiate for basic respect. He does not remain where he is constantly being dishonored. He knows exactly what he brings into a relationship. And because he knows his value, he also knows when it is time to quietly walk away. That is not arrogance. That is self-respect. And many women admire that far more than men realize. Consider this scenario. You have been dating a woman for several months. At first, everything felt amazing, but recently, she has started canceling plans at the last minute, taking hours to reply to your texts and making you feel like you're not a priority. The insecure man doubles down. He texts more. He plans more elaborate dates. He tries to win her back. The confident man says, "I have noticed that your energy has shifted. I am not going to chase you. If you want to be with me, you know where to find me." Then he goes back to living his life. This is not a game. This is a boundary. It communicates that he is not desperate. It communicates that he values himself, and often it is the very thing that snaps her back into the relationship. But even if she does not come back, he has preserved his dignity. He has not begged. He has not chased. He has simply respected himself. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, whose work on human nature and will remains influential, observed that a man can be himself only so long as he is alone. When a man loses himself in a relationship, he is no longer himself. And women do not fall in love with men who have lost themselves. They fall in love with men who are whole. A woman does not just respect a man because he can walk away. She respects him because she knows he does not need the relationship to survive. There is a huge difference between a man who stays because he genuinely wants to, and a man who stays because he is afraid he will never find another woman. Women notice this much faster than men realize. We pay attention to how you react when things do not go your way. Do you immediately panic? Do you start begging? Do you start negotiating for attention? Or do you remain calm because you know your worth is not determined by whether one woman chooses you or not? This is where many men lose themselves. They make one woman the center of their entire world. They slowly stop seeing their friends. They abandon their hobbies. They lose focus on their purpose. Their happiness begins depending entirely on how one woman feels about them that day. Without realizing it, they have handed over all of their emotional power. That is never attractive. A woman feels much safer with a man who has options in life. I am not talking about having 10 different women waiting for you. I am talking about having an abundant mindset. A man whose life is full of purpose, goals, friendships, family, and self-respect is far less likely to tolerate constant disrespect because he knows losing one relationship does not mean losing himself. Ironically, that is the kind of man many women value the most. Not because he is trying to make her jealous, but because she knows he is choosing to be with her every single day. That choice carries far more weight than a man who stays simply because he believes he has nowhere else to go. The fourth reason many women do not want the kind of good man most men become is because many men confuse having boundaries with enforcing boundaries. Those are not the same thing. Almost every man says he has standards. Almost every man says he will not tolerate disrespect. Almost every man says he knows his worth. The real question is this: what happens when those boundaries are actually tested? A boundary that has no consequence is just words. If you tell a woman, "I do not tolerate disrespect," but every time she disrespects you, nothing changes. She eventually stops taking your words seriously, not because she is naturally trying to disrespect you, but because you have shown her that your boundaries are not real. This is why actions will always speak than promises. Many women, sometimes without even realizing it, pay attention to whether a man follows through on what he says. If you tell her honesty matters, then dishonesty should have consequences. If you tell her respect matters, then repeated disrespect should also have consequences. Otherwise, your words slowly begin to lose their value. This does not mean becoming controlling or looking for reasons to punish a woman. It means respecting yourself enough to protect the standards that make a healthy relationship possible. A woman cannot consistently respect a man who refuses to respect his own boundaries. The moment she realizes she can cross every line you have drawn without losing you, the relationship begins changing in ways many men never expect. Respect does not disappear overnight. It disappears one ignored boundary at a time. And once that pattern becomes normal, rebuilding that respect becomes much harder than protecting it from the beginning. Consider this practical example. You have a rule that you will not be in a relationship where you are constantly being yelled at during arguments. The first time it happens, you say, "I will not continue this conversation if you are yelling. Let me know when you are ready to talk calmly." If she keeps yelling, you end the conversation. You do not engage. You do not give in. You walk away. The second time it happens, you do the same thing. The third time, you leave. Not because you do not care, but because you have shown her that your word means something. She will respect that consistency, even if she does not like it in the moment. The problem is that many men stop at setting boundaries. They tell a woman what they will and will not accept. But when those boundaries are crossed, fear takes over. They are afraid she will get angry. They are afraid she will cry. They are afraid she will leave. So instead of standing by what they said, they begin making excuses for behavior they promised themselves they would never tolerate. Let me tell you something that many women understand instinctively. We pay far more attention to what you do than what you say. You can tell a woman 100 times that disrespect is unacceptable, but if she repeatedly disrespects you and nothing changes, your words slowly become meaningless. Not because she hates you, but because you have taught her that your boundaries only exist when things are easy. This is exactly why consequences matter. A consequence is not about punishment. It is about consistency. If you tell a woman, "I will not accept this behavior," then your actions must match your words. Otherwise, every future boundary becomes weaker than the last. The philosopher Michel de Montaigne, whose essays on human nature remain widely read, observed that the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. When you enforce your boundaries, you are belonging to yourself. You are saying that your values matter more than her approval. The fifth and final reason many women do not want the kind of good man most men become is because too many men mistake love for self-sacrifice. Somewhere along the way, many men were taught that loving a woman means making her the center of their entire world. They believe that if they love her enough, give her enough attention, constantly reassure her, and always put her needs before their own, she will naturally appreciate them more. But that is not how attraction usually works. A woman wants to be an important part of your life, but she does not want to become your entire life. The moment a man abandons his purpose, neglects his friendships, stops pursuing his goals, and begins revolving his entire existence around one woman, something quietly changes. She no longer sees the man she was originally attracted to. She sees someone who has slowly lost himself trying to keep her. That is why so many men become confused. They think they are proving their love while the woman begins feeling suffocated instead of secure. The healthiest relationships are built between two complete people, not one complete person and one person who has lost his identity. A man should still have goals that excite him. He should still spend time improving himself. He should still value his peace, his purpose, and the life he worked so hard to build before the relationship ever began. Ironically, that is exactly what keeps the relationship healthy, because a woman knows she is sharing your life, not becoming responsible for creating it. Many women do not fall in love with a man because he makes them his entire world. They fall in love with the man who has a meaningful world of his own and chooses to invite them into it. Imagine this scenario. You have been dating a woman for a year. At first, you had your own life. You went to the gym. You saw your friends. You worked on your business. You had hobbies. Over time, you slowly dropped all of them. You stopped seeing your friends because you wanted to spend every evening with her. You stopped working on your goals because you were too busy trying to make her happy. You have become a shadow of the man she first met. She does not say anything, but she feels it. The spark is fading. She does not know why. You are more available than ever. You are more attentive than ever. You are doing everything right, but something is missing. That something is you. The man she fell for is gone. In his place is a man who has lost himself. The philosopher Confucius, whose teachings on relationships and virtue remain influential, observed that the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. When you lose yourself in small ways every day, you are moving the mountain of your identity stone by stone, and eventually, there is nothing left. If this video helped you see female psychology from a different perspective, make sure you hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss another discussion. Stay confident, protect your self-respect, build relationships that are based on mutual respect, and I will see you in the next video.